Good morning, everyone. The topic of my today's presentation is Future of Transfusion Medicine. I will discuss this topic under this heading: Introduction, Recent Advances, Blood Grouping, TDT Testing, Automation, Blood Components, Hematopoietic Stem Cell Transplant, Cord Blood Banking, Hemovigilance Program of India, Artificial Blood, Blood Farming, and Flow Cytometry in Transfusion Medicine. Transfusion medicine is a separate branch with a rapid and numerous advances in the field of blood banking. The recent advances are gel technology for blood grouping and cross matching, automation at various levels, techniques of the apheresis, fourth generation ELISA and molecular testing like NAT testing, hematopoietic stem cell transplant, and cord blood banking. Before going into the future, I would like to discuss shortly about blood bank. When donor come to us, firstly we have to look is that donor fulfill the donor's criteria. Then we have to collect blood collection should have to done. Then that collected blood we have to send for the blood testing. Here we do blood grouping and TDT testing. If the TDT testing is a positive, then blood should be discarded. Then blood component separation will be done, and if during storage that blood get expired, then it should be discarded. Before the blood issue, we have to do compatibility testing. It means cross matching with the receiver blood and donor blood. Now blood grouping and cross matching, there are the two methods: traditional method and new method. In traditional method we do slide method, tube method, microplate method. In new methods we do gel technology, glass microbead technology, erythrocyte magnetized technology. Here in our JJ blood bank we do tube method and gel technology. This slide and microplate method is not FDA recommended now. Then gel technology. It is developed to minimize the problem associated with the conventional techniques of the blood grouping. The uses of this technology is, helps in ABO and RS typing of the other blood groups like Levy's, P, I, then MNS and Duffy blood group. It is used in antibody screening and identification. It is used to do compatibility testing like a cross matching. The principle of this test is that the antigen present on the RBC and this antibody react with each other and form the complex. If that complex is a form agglutination is a form at the top of the this microtube, then test is positive. If this agglutination is a not formed, then that RBC get settled down below that gel. It means test is negative. Then these are the gel. This is gel card containing 6 microtubes. The first four microtubes follow the forward grouping, and last two follows reverse grouping. In a forward grouping, we have to add RBC from the outside with a known antisera. In last two, we have to add the serum of the patient. After this, we have to incubate this card at a 37 degrees Celsius for the 15 minutes, followed by centrifugation. Then result will be like this. If that agglutination is present at the top, it is a 4 plus, means test is positive. If agglutination is present in upper half, it means 3 plus. If it is present throughout the length, it means 2 plus. If it is present lower half, then it is 1 plus. And if the RBCs are settled at the bottom, then it is test is negative. The advantage of this gel technology are to improve the sensitivity and specificity of this test. Easy to use and simple to read, minimal training required, reliable and reproducible result we can get, easy to store and long shelf life of that reagent. The disadvantage is that it is expensive method, special equipments required like this gel card, skilled technical workers should be required. In this picture, we see that agglutination is present in A, B, and D. It means this blood group is AB positive, and in last two, we see that RBCs are settled down. It means antibodies are absent here. Then next is TDT testing. TDT testing means transfusion transmitted disease testing. It is a compulsory testing we have to do before blood component separation, in which we do HIV testing, HBsAg testing, SCV testing, VDRL, and malaria testing. Nowadays, automation is available for the TDT testing. The various methods for the TDT testing are the ELISA, CIMA test, and by NAT test. Today, I will discuss shortly about this ELISA and NAT testing. Presently at our JJH blood bank, we do HIV, HBsAg and SCV by the ELISA, syphilis by the VDRL test, and malaria by mostly malarial kit method. If there is a problem, then we see it under microscopic examination. This is automated CMIA machine for the TDD testing. Then next is fourth generation ELISA, which is used for the HIV antigen and antibody testing. This is ELISA kit. This test is sensitivity of this test is 100% and specificity is 99.97%. It significantly reduces the window period of the organism. Window period means it is a period when the time period between the organism enter into the person's body and it is detected on the tube test. Easy to use, and it is easy to use on automated and semi-automated process. The color coded reagents are used to monitor the procedural steps. Then next is nucleic acid amplification test. This is the most important test nowadays. It is highly sensitive test. It has a potential to detect the viremia earlier than the current screening methods, which is based on the seroconversion. It is a molecular technique which detect the viral nucleic acids of HIV, 1, 2, HBV virus and SCV virus at a very low concentration in a donor's blood. It is highly sensitive and advanced technique which reduce the window period of the organism. But remember that its cost is it is very costly, so it is not available everywhere. Then next is automation. What is the need of automation in transfusion medicine? Because of this automation, testing capacity is increase in our blood bank and in less time. This is the method of blood processing and testing by the automated instrument. It promotes the standardization of the result and increase the transfusion safety. The application of this automation in a blood component separation into plasma, red blood cells and platelet component. It is help in a leukoreduction to prevent the transmission of the cytomegalovirus and non-hemolytic febrile reactions. Leukoreduction means reduction of the leukocyte content from the 1 unit of RBCs. It is helps in a RBC washing for the IgA deficient patient, in ABO blood group testing, antibody screening, in compatibility testing. It produces the safety and detection of the microorganism growth. It helps in electronic cross matching. The advantage of automation are increase the blood bank testing capacity, avoid the human errors and reduce the staff requirements. It improves the reproducibility, traceability and patient identification with the use of specimen barcode which is present on that specific sample. Disadvantage is that it required extensive validation from the FDA compliance. Staff training required, more costly to acquire and maintain, and backup system always required. Then blood components. Why do we need to separate each blood component? Because by using the separate blood component, the several patient can be treated with the blood from a one donor. The component preparation allows the transfusion only specific blood component to the patient who required that. These blood components are separated by pack system, brachidated centrifuge system, and different specific gravity of the cellular component. Because of that different specific gravity, after the centrifugation, these RBCs are present at the bottom because it has a higher specific gravity than the platelet and plasma. Now pack system. There are the three types. Double pack system, triple pack system and quadruple pack system. In a double pack system, we can separate the RBC and plasma. In triple pack system, RBC, platelet and fresh frozen plasma we can separate. Then in a quadruple pack system, we separate the RBC, platelet, cryoprecipitate, which is nothing but a precipitated protein, plasma protein, which containing factor 8, factor 13, VWF factor and fibronectin, and cryopoor plasma. Before going, basics of centrifugation. Before the centrifugation, we have to weight the both blood bags. It should be equal weight. Then these blood bags we have to keep in a centrifuge machine in opposite cups. After the centrifugation, these blood bags we have to keep in a laminar airflow to sterilize it. In a centrifuge bag, the RBCs are settled in a lower portion and platelet-rich plasma is present at the upper portion. This platelet-rich plasma can be separated by the manual method or automatic method. This is laminar airflow machine and this is an instrument by which we can separate platelet-rich plasma from that RBC by manually. Next is hematopoietic stem cell transplant. Its types are allogenic, syngeneic, and autogenic. Allogenic means that receiver and the donor are the different one. Syngeneic means that receiver and the donor is identical twins. Autogenic means that receiver and donor are the both are one patient. Then source of stem cells are, it can be bone marrow, peripheral blood, blood in umbilical cord, and placenta. The indications are congenital immune deficiency, several aplastic anemias, red cell disorders, malignant disease of the bone marrows like acute leukemia, chronic myeloid leukemia, lymphomas, and inherited metabolic disorders. Then next is cord blood banking. The cord blood is nothing but a blood contained within the umbilical cord and in a placenta circulation. Before the cord blood taken, we have to take an informed consent from the both the parents, or at least from the one parents or the legal guardian. The collection personnel will be the trained doctor or the trained nurse who are conducting the delivery. The cord blood contain life-saving cells called stem cells. On an average, we can collect the 60 to 120 ml of anticoagulated cord blood from umbilical vein. This blood we can store up till 21 years by the cryopreservation method. There are the two purposes of this cord blood storage. We can donate this baby's cord blood to the anyone who need it, or we can store it for the family's future use. We can give this baby's cord blood to baby's parents, their grandparents from both from maternal and paternal side, and to baby sibling. The uses of these cord bloods are in leukemia, aplastic anemia, thalassemia, Hodgkin and non-Hodgkin lymphoma. The advantage are absence of the risk of the donor, low incidence of viral carriage, recipient tolerance of the mismatch, and disadvantage is that the ethics and consent issue is there, and it is very costly. The cost is varying from the 50,000 to 1 lakh of one blood bag. Then next is Hemovigilance Program of India. Basically, this program is introduced for monitoring of the transfusion reactions. This was the first introduced in France in 1993. It was launched in India on 10 December 2012. It is a part of pharmacovigilance program of the India. It is centralized and well-structured approach to collect and analyze the data in respect to adverse reaction associated with the blood transfusion. The objective of these programs are to monitor the blood transfusion reaction, create the awareness among the healthcare professionals, generate the evidence-based recommendations, advise the Central Drug Standard Control Organization for safety-related regulation decisions, create a national and international linkage. What is happening in this program? The medical colleges who are enrolled under this program have to collect the data with respect to adverse reaction associated with the blood transfusion and blood product. Then this data have to enter in a transfusion reaction performing reporting form. This from their respective Department of Transfusion Medicine and blood banks. This data is recommended for the best practices and intervention required to improve the patient care and safety related decisions. Then artificial blood. Why do we need this artificial blood? Because last year, due to the corona pandemic, there is a huge shortage of blood storage and blood donors. That's why our scientists decided to produce this blood in lab itself. The artificial blood is also called as a blood surrogate. It is a substance used to mimic and fulfill the same function as our biological blood, usually in oxygen carrying sense. The main aim is to provide the alternative to the blood transfusion. It does not contain plasma, RBCs, and WBC. The ideal characteristics are: it is safe to use, compatible in a human body, able to transport and release the oxygen where it needed, free of pathogens and toxins. Viscosity is similar to our biological blood. It is more safe to avoid the transfusion reaction. In artificial blood, the blood substitute are hemoglobin-based oxygen carrier and perfluorocarbons. It carries oxygen from lung to the different tissue where it needed. There is a lack, there is a lack of coagulation, immune reaction, and plasma proteins. The size of these substitute are smaller than that of RBC. Because of that smaller size, it can transfer the oxygen to the places where blockage is present in the blood vessel, where normal RBCs can't reach. Mostly is in a MI patient. Though it is a good tool, but there are the few adverse effects is also there. It causes the first generation allergies, bleeding tendency like a decrease in platelet count, headache, flu-like symptoms, increased liver enzymes, immune suppression, and other negligible adverse effect like nephrotoxicity and neurotoxicity. But the final conclusion of the most of the study is it is a good tool for the survival of the patient at the time of surgery when blood loss is very high. It carries oxygen to the tissue and can support the life temporarily until the patient can either generate their own red blood cells. It can be sterilized against the infectious diseases with the prospective benefit of artificial blood is more than its shortcomings. Then blood farming. Blood farming is nothing but we can say it like that. Blood farming is the future of artificial blood. In blood farming, we grow the RBC from the stem cell, from the bone marrow and umbilical cords. It has a similar oxygen carrying ability and lifespan that of our native RBCs. These RBCs are selected to produce O negative blood group, which is nothing but a universal donor blood group. It is a complicated and expensive process, so it is still under research. Then next is flow cytometry in transfusion medicine. Nowadays, the flow cytometry increasingly used as a diagnostic tool in transfusion medicine. Introduction of the monoclonal fluorescence labeled antibodies in a diagnostic further accelerate the development of transfusion medicine. In flow cytometry, we can numerously cellular and nuclear properties can be simultaneously measured on a single level in automated devices at a high speed. The application of this flow cytometry are immunohematological diagnosis, quality control of the blood products, adaptive immunotherapy, HLA cross matching, and further therapeutic application. These are my references. Thank you.